There's something most men completely miss about what actually draws a woman's attention and keeps it. It's not about how much money you display. It's not about rattling off accomplishments. It's not even about being the funniest or most charming person in the room. If anything, those things might get you noticed for a moment, but they rarely make you unforgettable. What separates the men who genuinely capture a woman's interest from the ones who get politely tolerated is something far more subtle and far more powerful. It's the ability to make her feel seen, not just looked at. It's knowing how to ask questions that go beyond the surface conversations she's exhausted by. It's understanding that attraction isn't built through impressive monologues. It's built in the quiet space where she feels safe enough to reveal who she really is. Hi, I'm Olivia, your host of Psychology Secrets with Olivia. And today we're going to explore something that can completely transform how women experience you. And I want you to pause for a second and really think about this. How many conversations have you had where it felt like you were saying all the right things, but nothing actually landed? Where it felt like you were present physically, but emotionally. There was just distance? If you've ever felt that, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not the problem. You've just never been shown how to connect on the level that actually matters. Because here's the truth most people won't tell you. Women are constantly seen, but rarely understood. Think about her daily life. Compliments about her appearance, comments about what she's wearing, casual attention that feels more like observation than connection. But how often does someone stop and ask her something that makes her pause? Something that makes her think, wow, no one's ever asked me that before. That moment, that pause, that slight shift in her expression, that's where attraction begins to deepen. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, psychologically, and powerfully. Attraction, at its core, operates on two levels, physical and psychological. And while physical attraction might open the door, psychological connection is what makes her stay. It's what makes her think about you later, replay conversations in her mind, and feel something she can't quite explain. And here's where most men go wrong. They try to impress instead of connect. They talk more. They perform more. They try to present the best version of themselves instead of creating space for her to be herself. And ironically, that's what puts them in the same category as everyone else. Predictable, surface level, forgettable. But you're not here for that. You're here to understand what actually creates depth. What creates that quiet pull where she feels drawn to you without even knowing why. And it starts with something incredibly simple, but incredibly rare. The right questions. Now, not just any questions, not interview-style questions, not rehearsed lines, but questions that unlock something real inside her. Questions that create an emotional experience, not just a conversation. Because when a woman feels emotionally safe and mentally stimulated at the same time, something shifts. She leans in, she opens up, and most importantly, she remembers you. Let's start with the first question. What's something you believed strongly 5 years ago that you don't believe anymore? Now, on the surface, this sounds simple, but psychologically, it's powerful. Because you're not asking about her job, her hobbies, or what she does on weekends. You're asking about her evolution. You're saying, without saying it directly, I want to understand how life has shaped you. And when she hears that, something changes internally. She shifts from autopilot responses into reflection. Maybe she talks about a relationship that changed her perspective on love. Maybe she talks about a belief she outgrew. Maybe she shares something vulnerable, something she doesn't usually say out loud. And here's where most men make a mistake. They interrupt. They relate it back to themselves too quickly. They try to add value immediately. But the real power is in listening, letting her sit in that moment, letting her expand, letting her feel like she's not being rushed or judged. That's what creates emotional safety. Let me give you a real-life example. Imagine you're sitting across from her at a quiet cafe. You ask this question. She pauses, looks down for a second, then smiles slightly and says, honestly, I used to think I had to be perfect to be loved. Now in that moment, you have two choices. You can brush past it, or you can hold space for it. And if you choose the second, you've just created a moment she won't forget. The second question is equally powerful. When do you feel most like yourself? This question bypasses logic and goes straight to emotion, because now you're asking about her authentic state. The version of her that exists without pressure, without expectations. And her answer might surprise you. It might not be something impressive. It might be something simple, like being alone with music or painting or talking late at night with someone she trusts. But what she's really telling you is this. This is where I feel free. And when you listen to that, really listen. You're not just learning about her preferences, you're learning about her soul's comfort zone. And here's the deeper psychological layer. When she shares that with you, she begins to associate you with that feeling of authenticity. Not because you did something extraordinary, but because you created the space for it to exist. Let's move to the third question. If nothing was holding you back, no fear, no money issues, no judgment, what would you be doing right now? This is what I call a permission question, because you're giving her something she rarely gets, permission to dream out loud. And you'd be surprised how powerful that is. Most people suppress their real desires. They filter them. They shrink them to fit reality. But when you ask this question, you remove those filters. Suddenly, she's not talking about what she is doing. She's talking about what she wants to do. And that's where emotional energy lives. Maybe she says she'd travel the world. Maybe she'd start a business. Maybe she'd change her entire life path. Whatever it is, don't judge it. Don't analyze it. Don't try to fix it. Just witness it. Because in that moment, you're not just a guy she's talking to. You're someone who made her feel free. And emotional freedom creates emotional attachment. Now, here's something important you need to understand. These questions are not techniques. They are doorways. And once you open them, you need to be ready to step inside with presence, patience, and emotional steadiness. Because if she opens up and you don't know how to hold that space, the connection collapses. But if you do, you become rare. And rare is unforgettable. Now, before we move into the next set of questions, I want you to do something simple. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever had a conversation where someone made you feel truly understood? What did they do differently? Because that awareness alone is going to change how you show up moving forward. And if you're starting to see how powerful this is, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Psychology Secrets with Olivia. Because we go deep here. Not surface level advice, but real psychological insight that actually works in real life. Now let's go even deeper. Now the fourth question. This one needs to be used with awareness and timing. What kind of connection do you think you actually deserve? This isn't just about relationships. This is about self-worth. And when you ask this, you're gently guiding her to reflect on something most people avoid, what they truly believe they deserve emotionally. Now pay attention here, because her answer will tell you more than anything else. If she speaks with clarity and confidence, it shows emotional alignment. If she hesitates, deflects, or says she's never thought about it, that tells you something too. But your role is not to correct, fix, or teach. Your role is to observe and understand. Let the silence exist if it needs to, because sometimes the most powerful moments in a conversation are the quiet ones. Let me give you a small story. A client once told me he asked this question on a simple evening walk. The woman he was with stopped walking for a second and said, "Honestly, I think I've accepted less than I deserve for a long time." That moment changed everything. Not because he gave advice, but because he listened. And that's the difference between surface level attraction and emotional connection. Now, the fifth question, what's something you wish people understood about you, but they usually don't? This is where things become deeply personal. Because every woman, no matter how confident she appears, carries a part of herself that feels misunderstood. And when you ask this, you're giving her permission to reveal that part. Maybe she says people think she's cold when she's actually just guarded. Maybe she says people think she's strong when she's actually tired. Maybe she says people assume she has it all together when she's still figuring things out. And in that moment, she's not performing anymore. She's being real. And here's the psychology behind it. When someone feels understood at a level they're not used to, they form a deeper emotional bond with the person who created that experience. That's you. Now, the sixth question, if you could go back and tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? This is not just a question, it's an emotional time machine. Because now she's reflecting on her past, her growth, her pain, her lessons. And when she answers, you're not just seeing who she is now, you're seeing who she was. And that creates a layered understanding of her identity. She might talk about mistakes, she might talk about heartbreak, she might talk about moments that shaped her. And as she shares, something subtle happens. She begins to feel seen in her entirety, not just the present version of herself, but the journey behind it. And that kind of recognition, it's rare. Finally, the seventh question. What does freedom mean to you? Now, this might sound abstract, but that's exactly why it works. Because everyone uses the word freedom, but very few people define it. And when she does, you'll understand what truly drives her. For some, it's independence. For others, it's emotional peace. For others, it's breaking away from expectations. And when you hear her answer, you're hearing her core motivation, what she's moving toward, what she's protecting, what she values most. And that insight, it's incredibly powerful. Now let's bring this all together. These 7 questions are not magic words. They're tools for presence. Because at the end of the day, it's not the question itself that creates attraction. It's how you ask it. It's your energy, your calmness, your ability to listen without rushing, without judging, without trying to impress. Because here's the truth. Women are not deeply attracted to men who try to win them over. They're drawn to men who understand them. And when your words don't just stay in her mind, but start echoing in her emotions, that's when she remembers you. That's when she thinks about you later. That's when something real begins. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation, don't try to be impressive. Be present. Don't try to say more. Say something that matters and watch what happens. If this resonated with you, I want you to comment below. Tell me which question you're going to try first. And if you want to master this level of connection, make sure you subscribe to Psychology Secrets with Olivia, because we're just getting started. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.